Hello and thank you for joining webinar 2 of 2 from the Work Smarter series. The focus today being on improving resource management so that you can avoid situations like the one on the Dilbert cartoon being displayed on the screen right now. So my name's Baz Kinzer and I'm the Commercial Director at Wellington and a virtual team member within Microsoft. My role is primarily to educate organizations on how they can work smarter by ditching, to some extent, the use of Microsoft Excel and by embracing Microsoft PPM. Today, I'll start with a very brief introduction to Wellington. Before looking at the tool that many project-driven organizations use, I'm of course referring to Excel and the associated pains when using it in place of an enterprise PPM solution such as Microsoft Project Online. After that, I am going to provide an overview of Microsoft PPM and demonstrate how you can work smarter through a live demonstration, after which I'll be covering off next steps if you would like to learn more. But first, a little bit about us. So Wellington have been around since 2001, helping organizations to increase their project management maturity. And as an organization, we offer pure PPM consulting, PMO consulting, maturity assessment services, as well as managed services in the PPM space. Aside from that, we're also a Microsoft certified Gold PPM partner, and we offer a comprehensive set of services ranging from consulting on discovery and design to providing ongoing third-line support services where we've deployed Project Online or Project Server. On the training side, we're an APM accredited training provider offering project management, PMO and Microsoft PPM training. And as you can see on the screen right now, we've worked with quite an eclectic mix of clients that span a variety of sectors to deploy Microsoft PPM. Just before looking at Microsoft PPM, let's have a look at some research into what tools are typically used in a project environment to manage resources. Well, looking at the findings from the State of Project Management Annual Survey 2017, the most commonly used tool is indeed Microsoft Excel, which is not a surprise to me. Whilst a total of 84% of the survey respondents stated resource management generally as a key challenge for them within their organization or across the department. By the way, you can access the full report for free by following the address stated on the slide. You can also take part in the 2018 survey, details for that coming up a bit later. Looking at some of the pains associated with using Excel or any standalone resource management solution for that matter, there are quite a few, and one of the biggest for me is the fact that you end up creating islands of data with your work breakdown structure or tasks in one solution such as Microsoft Project Desktop and the resource information in another such as Excel, and there's no communication between the two solutions. So you have to keep everything synchronized manually, and that often results in anomalies in the data, through which you actually end up with a lack of visibility. So you don't have a true view of who's ever allocated and on the verge of a breakdown versus someone who is significantly underutilized and coming to work probably for a break from it all. So just to round up, there's lots of manual updating that's required to get a joined-up view. It's very slow and time-consuming, and answering the types of questions that are on the screen right now become very problematic. And last but not least, corruption is inevitable, as stated by David Maffin from BOC Gases, who was on last week's presentation, talking about their experiences of using Excel workbooks to track not only resources, but also project performance generally. So if you haven't watched that webinar already, I do suggest that you check it out. Looking at the Forrester Report, the total economic impact of implementing Microsoft Project Online, respondents who had adopted Project Online stated the following benefits. So better resource management capabilities, greater visibility into resource needs, a 13% reduction in project labor costs, a 16% reduction in the time taken to allocate resources, and a 14% increase in resource utilization. Now, that report is definitely worth reading, and if you would like to access the full 28-page report for free, all you need to do is follow the address stated at the bottom of this slide. So let's talk about some of the benefits of Microsoft PPM now versus Excel. So one of the biggest benefits from my perspective is the fact that you end up with a centralized database where you store not only your project information, but all of your resource related information as well. So it's all joined together. And through this, you can start creating resource-loaded schedules. And importantly, you can create informed schedules as well, because you can see in real time whether or not certain resources are available to complete the tasks that you're looking to schedule in. And once assigned against a project or task, the resources can keep track of their workload and provide progress updates through either the task or the timesheet views, which we're going to have a look at shortly as part of a demonstration. Microsoft Project Online also provides you with a multitude of standardized reports that give you a much better visibility of resource demand versus capacity, which in turn allows you again to make informed decisions. And lastly, unlike Excel, Project Online comes with a guaranteed 99.9% uptime, and you also get continuous data backup as well as best-in-class disaster recovery. And if you would like to learn more, then please have a look at the Office 365 Trust Center for further details. Just before delving into the demo, I'll highlight the two key components that constitute Microsoft PPM. First of all, you've got the Microsoft Project Desktop, the client application that some of you might already have used. And then there's Project Web App, the browser-based interface that's built on SharePoint, which enables you to consolidate all of your project information to start working smarter. Essentially, what you get is one version of the truth. Delving into a bit more detail, the best way in which to view Microsoft Project Online is as a centralized project repository for all of your project artifacts and, importantly, the resource pool. And it's from the centralized resource pool that you would start assigning resources against your projects and tasks, which makes it then very easy to determine demand versus capacity and to identify bottlenecks before they become issues. And as you can see on the screen, Project Online does offer a lot of capability. Our recommendation typically is to take a phased approach to implementing, with the philosophy being to take small steps and achieve some quick wins. And now moving on to the demo. So I'm going to start off by showcasing the Resource Center, which is where all of the resource data resides. I'm going to show you the different ways in which you can actually assign resources against your projects and your tasks, and how team members would actually view those tasks and provide updates back to the project managers. And last but not least, I'll be showing you some of the reporting capabilities that are provided, again, out of the box. However, there is just a very quick caveat. Due to the time that we've got available during this session, this is going to be a very high-level demonstration. So if you want to see more, if you would like to take a deep dive, all you need to do is get in touch with me using the details that are coming up at the end. So here we are now on the homepage to PWA, and along the top we've got a series of tiles that get you started with using Project Web App, whilst down here at the bottom we've got a series of tiles that help you to track your work. But for the purposes of this demo today, we're going to go straight into the Resource Center. So within the Resource Center itself, you can see that we've got a variety of different resource types being displayed. We've got cost resource types and work resource types, which is really what we're focusing in on today. And work resources for us could mean people, which are either named individuals, or it could even be generic resources that are essentially job title placeholders. And it could even extend as far as including rooms and equipment and other machinery that you might need to book out. And you can see here that we've also got Skype for business presence information being displayed, and I'm being very antisocial by saying do not disturb. So the resource pool itself contains a list of all of your resources, and against each resource you can hold various attributes. Attributes could be job title, could be team name, department, location, skills and qualifications, even cost rates. All of this information can be encapsulated within the resource pool. And of course, it's from within this pool that we actually then assign resources against individual projects, which is what I'm going to be showing you now. So jumping here into Microsoft Project Online Desktop, we can see that we've got the schedule, and in fact in the background you can see that we've also got the Project Web App browser interface open at the same time. But going back to the project that I have on the screen right now, you will see that I've got a variety of resources already assigned against these tasks. But the question is, how do I assign these resources? Well, it's really quite straightforward. Go to Resource, Add Resources, Build Team from Enterprise. So here we have this pop-up, and on the pop-up you've got a variety of things being displayed. You've got here on the left-hand side a list of all the people and all of the resources available for work in the organization. What we have here on the right-hand side is a list of all the resources currently assigned against the project, and this is really a combination of generic resources such as accountants and named individuals as well. You'll notice that there are some indicators next to these, or some icons I should say, that indicate that a resource is over-allocated, and I can vouch for this. I am over-allocated right now. We've got different booking types here. We've got committed, which is typically the default, and if you have something that's published with a committed booking type against it, what you're effectively doing is indicating or notifying the resource that they've been assigned against a project and a specific task, and that they have work to do. And at the same time, you're reducing that person's availability for other work. Although that's not strictly the case, because even though somebody is booked out and committed against a particular project, there is nothing stopping another project manager from booking out the same resource. However, they would see that there is a clash. Something else we can see on the same display is a work column indicating the amount of work that is assigned or required from a particular type of resource. Now, to play out a couple of scenarios right at the beginning of a project lifecycle where you might typically have lots of generic resources assigned against your projects, what you would need to do in that situation is actually assign some named individuals against your project. So select accountant, press the match button, and what the list on the left-hand side shows us now is a list of resources that match those particular filters. So we can see that we've got Don Funk, Lisa, and quite a few other resources, but all have a job title of accounting. We can also display resource availability as well. So I'll use the project start and finish dates in this example, press the apply button, and we see everyone's availability being populated on the screen as we speak. So in order to replace the accountant with the named individual, all we do is press the replace button. So anywhere within the plan where we have an accountant currently assigned, what you're going to see is that those names are actually replaced by Don Funk. Equally, you might have named individuals such as Glenn John, who for whatever reason has booked a last-minute holiday and is no longer available for work. So you select that individual's name, you again press the match button, and in a similar fashion it will display everyone that matches the same skill set or the same job title certainly as Glenn. And in a similar vein, you could then assign somebody else to work on the project and add them to the project team. So there are two ways of assigning resources against a project. One is that somebody builds up a team, as I've just demonstrated, and then goes into the work breakdown structure, which is where we are right now, selects a task where there are currently no resources assigned, although you could do this where resources are assigned as well, and you simply go in and assign other resources. For now, let's just select a task where there are no assignments, select a resource, let's assign Louise Brighton. And Louise, you can see, is currently online. So if I wanted to converse with Louise, I could do that, but I won't do that right now. But after I've done that, all I would do is go to File and Publish. And once I publish that individual, so Louise would be notified that she's been assigned a task. So that's one way of assigning resources. Another way of assigning resources is through adding engagements. And where you would want to use resource engagements is where you want to add in a approval workflow. So rather than the project manager going ahead and assigning and committing their own resources, what you want to happen is for the project manager to request a resource for a certain period of time to work on certain activities, and for the team lead or the resource manager to approve those requests. So to do that, you would click on to add engagements and you select the resources. You would still have to build your team initially, as I demonstrated earlier, but let's select Mark and put in a request. I have already discussed this with Mark. We can put in a start and finish date if we'd like to. So let's start this on the 22nd of November and let's keep this going until, let's say, the 30th. I've also got the option here of allocating resource by either units or by work. So I can specify that I either need Mark for 100% of his time during those particular date ranges, or I can specify the amount of work that needs to be completed within that window of time. So I'll leave that as units, and here you can add in comments as well. Mark has worked on this project previously. Okay, click OK. And from here, I can then go into the resource plan, which opens up the engagements tab. When I click on there, I can submit that resource request off. So let's just submit all of them. And you can see actually there in the list that I've already got some that have been submitted. And where these requests end up is, again, within the Resource Center. So here I can see all of the incoming resource requests, and this is still refreshing, hence the reason that I can't see the latest one that I've added in. But you can see that some of these have committed statuses against them. These have already been approved. Some are proposed. And the ones that are proposed, I've got the ability as a resource manager to go in, select that particular request. I can either accept, reject, add further engagements, or even to edit that particular engagement. So once accepted and a resource is committed in the schedule against a particular task, that individual receives a notification to say that they've been assigned new work. And that's what you can see here on the main page. And from here, I'm going to go onto the timesheet view. So on the timesheet page that I'm looking at right now, you'll notice that not only am I being shown a list of all the projects that I've been assigned to and the respective tasks, but I've also got the ability to actually report time against non-project activities called administrative line items. But minimizing this, I'm just going to focus on the projects that I've been assigned to. And here I can see that I've been assigned against the Dynamics deployment across EMEA, and this is the task that I've got responsibility for. I can see the start date, the finish date, the amount of remaining work, and the percentage complete so far. And here in the planned row, which is not so clear at the moment, but here on the planned row, I can see the amount of time per day that I'm expected to work on that task for. The display units are interchangeable, so currently it's displayed as days, but that could equally be displayed as hours as well. Clicking in to the cell above, I can actually report my actual hours if I want to. So let's just put in 4 hours, and you'll see that that gets converted into days. I've also got the ability to actually drill down into the task. Yes, I want to leave a page. Yes, I'm sure. And I get further insight into the task itself. So along the top, I can see the start date, the proposed finish date, the remaining work. I have, as a team member, got the ability to change this and to submit this back off to the project manager for approval. But we're not going to do that right now. We're just going to go straight down. You can see that there are spaces there where you can add attachments, so you might have associated risks or issues. And if you did have any, they would be displayed as hyperlinks beneath the title bars that you see at the top. I can also see the contacts on the project, so who's the project manager, who's the approval manager, who's working on this task, and who makes up the wider project team. Aside from this, one of the areas that I really like on the screen is related assignments. So what tasks are scheduled to be finished before I can start working on my task, and equally, which tasks are dependent upon me finishing my task on time. And again, what's a really nice feature on this is that where available, you've also got Skype presence information being displayed, as you can see there. Right at the bottom of the page, you've also got a notes window, which I'm not going to fill out right now, but if I did fill out any notes, they would be sent back to the project manager and be viewable against the tasks within either the client application or even within the browser. Cancelling out of this, once you have populated your actuals against the tasks, all you need to do to submit your updates is select those particular items, click on the send button, and you've got the ability to send your task updates for those specific tasks against the project. And at the end of a week, you can also turn in your final timesheet. Some organizations would also like to complete very high-level capacity planning at the beginning to analyze the entire pipeline to determine which projects are actually feasible and which ones are not. So that really relies on a module called Portfolio Analysis. And whilst as part of this demo, I'm not providing a detailed overview, I would like to show you some of the features that are relevant to this demo that I'm running right now. So this is a prioritization that I've already got in flight. We're looking at a particular list of pipeline projects, and we can see what the total cost of that portfolio is. So assuming that we have all the budget available to run 12 projects, we will achieve 100% strategic value. So this is all very well and good. We've got enough money to run all of these projects. But the question is, do we have enough resources available to run these projects? So looking at this now, we can see very clearly that we don't have enough resources available to run all 12 projects. In fact, we've only got enough resource to fulfill 6 of those requests. And you can see here a list of all the projects that have been selected versus those that are not selected. And the ones that are selected are the ones that have got the high strategic alignment and resource availability in the defined timeframes. You can actually get further insight by going into requirements details, where you can see resource availability and the deficits as well. So here we can see that between January, May and June, we have got certain roles that we are in deficit for. So if I scroll down, you will see that we are short of testers and trainers. So here are the projects that have not been selected. So the IT HR rebuild has not been approved because we are short of a trainer. And it's pretty much the same story on many of the projects, but are short on trainers. And if I go down even further, you can see that we're also short on subject matter experts as well as testers. So that was a very quick overview of how you can analyze your resource requirements going forward when you are looking at pipeline planning. So what you're seeing on the screen right now is the out-of-the-box Power BI project content pack from Microsoft, which actually features a number of resource-specific reports and dashboards, which is exactly what we can see on the screen right now. So this is resource availability. I've got the ability to set various filters along the top, but looking at the visualizations on the screen right now, I can see demand and capacity over time. I can see availability over time. And at the bottom, I've got a resource heat map where I can see very clearly who's overallocated, the poor things, versus those that have got ample availability to have additional work thrown in their direction. We've also got resource overview. Again, this has a variety of filters along the top, and you can see a resource breakdown by department. And you can see the maximum available units of these individuals, the departmental alignment. You can see whether or not it's a generic resource, and you see which calendar they've been aligned against as well. So typically it's going to be standard, but you might have workers that are working on part-time calendars or something along those lines. So again, this gives you visibility of that. We can also see resource assignments. So work by group and work by project type. But moving on, we've also got resource details. This particular report lets you filter down into specific resources. You can also set other filters here as well and look at specific timeframes if you want to, which I'm not going to do right now. But here you can see the work by project, availability versus demand and capacity. And along the top, you can see the number of current assignments that I have in the play, the number of projects I'm currently assigned to, the amount of work in my calendar as well. And quite a bit of it is actually remaining. So we'll make a very swift move on to the next report. So here on the resource demand forecast report, you can see this green line that indicates resource demand as it currently stands. And the dark line is showing you the demand forecast. So you've got the upper bound and the lower bound being displayed on the screen. Something that you can also do is actually go into the filters and start interrogating some of the data. So as an example, let's just go in and change this around slightly, press the apply button. And you can see there that the graph actually changes to represent the filters that we've just put in. And aside from this, you've also got access to the Office 365 Project Portfolio dashboard, which does include quite a few resource-specific reports. So here in the top left-hand corner, you can see top resources by demand. You can see who's popular and who's not. You can also see top resources with issues, as well as a breakdown there at the bottom of all of the resource information. So you can see issues, risks, and you've also got a similar type of report to what we've just seen in Power BI, which is an availability heat map. So that really does conclude the demo for today. And again, I did caveat right at the very beginning, but this was a very high-level overview. There is a lot more to resource management, and we have literally scratched the surface. So if you would like to see more, if you would like to learn more about the benefits, then please do get in touch using the contact details coming up at the end. In terms of next steps, if you would like to take a closer look and understand the art of the possible, we can assist. If you'd like to get hands-on on Microsoft Project Online, we can set you up with a trial environment, which you can use to complete a short proof of concept or a formalized pilot. Or if you've already decided to implement Microsoft PPM and you would like to discuss how we could help support you with that journey, then please get in touch to request a meeting. My details are coming up in just a couple of minutes. Lastly, you can see a reference to SDPS vouchers on the slide. That acronym stands for SharePoint Deployment Planning Service Vouchers, which is something that you might have access to if you have software assurance vouchers from Microsoft. And these vouchers can be redeemed against our consulting services. So that is something that we can explore. And again, if you would like to discuss that further, all you need to do is get in touch. However, just before closing, I'd like to invite you all to take part in the State of Project Management Annual Survey 2018. It only takes around 10 minutes to complete, and simply by taking part, you're automatically entered into a prize draw, and you could win something from a selection of great prizes, which include £250 worth of John Lewis vouchers or a ticket to next year's FuturePMO conference. Talking of which, FuturePMO 2018 is going to be taking place on October the 4th. You can pre-register your interest now and be notified when tickets become available. all you need to do is head over to FuturePMO.com. As promised, here are my contact details, so please do feel free to reach out with any questions that you might have. In closing, thank you for taking the time to view the session. I hope you found it useful.